Fred Dibnah and his steersman Alf Molyneux have now reached the Scottish borders on their epic steam-powered tour to discover Britain's industrial past. They're on their way from West Cumbria to Bowness on the Firth of Forth.
We're now in Scotland and we're heading for a foundry to find out more about the casting process and foundrymen. Castings are a very important part of a traction engine. The cylinder block, the cylinder end covers and of course the pistons are all made from cast iron. Like even the hubcaps over the wheels are made from cast iron. The business at the front where the steering gear is made from cast iron.
The running repairs they made in Cumbria appear to have been a success, and the engine is now running well, which is a good thing, as they've still got more than 50 miles to go today.
You know, there's some quite long journeys involved in it that will be pretty uneventful really, other than waving to people as they pass by like. And then there's always the unplanned for, you know, things that happen, like you get invited into people's houses and things like that, which can be quite dangerous, you know. You end up pouring whiskey down your throat and all that sort of thing. Happened to me before that, you know. We'll just bring it round to our house so we can take a picture of it in front of the house, and ended up at a party, you know. Weddings, we've done weddings, you know. 10 miles, right, they'll go off the engine. Or get arrested by one of them funny men in the blue suit.
Yes, one of them masons.
Long thin stick.
That's when Glasgow was the second city of the empire.
Yeah,
When it was all engineering. Glasgow was just one massive foundry, just foundries
big engineers.
everywhere.
One of the best engineers in the world come from London, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a petition for our mine.
Yeah. I'll sign that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My father was a miner. Micromanaged.
Were it?
Yeah.
I did a talk, but everybody was that pissed, nobody understood what I was talking about.
With the engine's belly tank full up with water, they're ready for the road again.
We're now in Falkirk, which of course was the place where the Industrial Revolution in Scotland all started. And here, a great iron foundry called the Carron Iron Works that were opened in 1760. After 30 years, it employed 1,000 men and became the biggest iron smelting plant in the whole of Europe. It was here James Watt's first castings for his earliest engines were manufactured.
Although there's not much of it left now, this area was the cradle of the steam revolution, where Watt built some of the first steam engines. And Watt wasn't the only pioneering engineer working in these parts.
This boat behind me is a 3/4 size copy of the world's first steam-powered vessel, you know, and it was designed by an engineer called William Symington. It's called the Charlotte Dundas, and the engine for it was built at the Carron Iron Works, where Symington was the chief engineer. And it was actually designed to pull barges on a canal, which it did quite successfully. The horizontal engine in it was far in front of its time. In 1803, it pulled 2 barges laden with 70 tons along a 20-mile stretch of the Forth and Clyde Canal at 3.5 miles an hour, you know, which is really faster than what we're doing with the traction engine. Built by the Mackenzie Ship and Boat Yard, eh? The canal owners were very concerned about the wash from the engine or the paddles, and it never really went into service. You know, what a shame, you know. It could have, you know, it's so long ago, 1803. He fell in the canal and drowned, did you know? Here where the Charlotte Dundas is moored on the canal, there's a modern wonder of engineering, you know, the Falkirk wheel, the world's one and only revolving boat lift. And it's so simple, you know, it makes you wonder why nobody ever thought of it before. It was officially opened by the Queen in 2002. And it did away with the leaden locks that covered an height of 115 feet from the top canal to this canal down here. At each revolution it moves 600 tonnes of water, and the machinery involved are 10 hydraulic motors, and they're unbelievably efficient. You know, they say that there's the same amount of energy used each revolution as there is in boiling 2 kettles of water. I'd better go and relieve my mate Elf now, who's been faithfully looking after the engine. I'm off for a cheese bussing. Here, Ted, now. Just pull in a bit. We're just trying too hard, and there's a big hill. What? If we were on the level, we'd be okay with the water level in the boiler as it is, but we've got to go down this hill, which could uncover the crown of the firebox, melting the fusible plug, which means we could be here all night instead of having a pint in about half an hour, you know. Which that's where we're going to, where that flame is burning on the horizon. It's that operation we did up in Cumbria on it, when we planed that 5/16 off the edge of the steam port. Made a hell of a difference.
So they need to find some water quickly. Right at the last minute, help is at hand.
Yeah.
Water fills.
And there's nothing like getting it straight from the men from the waterboard.
Oh aye, they'll be coming out at funnel.
I think I need a drink. Thanks very much, chap.
An engine like this is a rare sight around here. But in the early 1900s, there were tens of thousands of them steaming around Britain's roads. It had a good long run today. So how's Fred feeling about the performance of the engine now?
Well, we're getting better. It's run in now. We've had some good spells of maybe 14 mile an hour of taking speeds like that. If you keep 200 pounds on the clock, and it seems to accelerate up hills now, which it wouldn't do, would it, when we were in Cumbria, you know. There's nothing dropped off it, you know, that's the main thing. We'll wrap it up and go for a pint, I think, usual style.
But a traction engine's not like a car, and before they can go to the pub at the end of the day, there's always plenty of work to do. Tonight, there's a few nuts that need tightening.
So it's in a better position. 2 minutes. Staying at railway workshops is a very handy place to break down at. You know. We're not really broke down. I mean, we could have tightened them up, but they'd have just come loose again, you know, which while we're at it, we might as well do it properly and just my luck to drop this nut now down onto the top of the red hot firebox. Right, now then, big spanner.
Sorting out the coal and water is Alf's department.
Still very tight. Yeah, we can find a washer of a suitable thickness with one nail. Now we need Alex and his washer department. You know, if we can find a washer at right thickness, which there's a half a bucket full just arrived. Oh, that looks the part maybe. Right, it's right now, see. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Recommend that up against the lock nut because the two are loose together.
Yeah, they can't go any further, can they, because of the split pins?
I'm ready for finishing now. But
It's an improvement.
he's got to do his repairs. We're preparing for tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of coal. We want quite a bit more yet. With some polishing to do. And sheet it up, and then it starts again tomorrow. It's nice and bright. We light the fire and muck it all up again. And then back to square one when we finish running.
You enjoying it?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Met some cracking people up here, haven't we? Anyway, I'll have to get on with my work.
Did it come loose now? Right, myself to death. This is the foundry we've been heading for, the Ballantyne and Bowness Iron Company. And it's been here since 1820 and employs over 100 people. This is it. Here they cast everything from pillar boxes to lamp standards to beautiful iron railings and, you know, for places as far away as London and maybe all over the world, you know. But, you know, looking around at the quality of the workmanship and the ornamental stuff, there can't be many places as good as what this place is, believe me.
If you come through this way, lads,
Yeah.
through you come, through you come.
Oh, there's some lovely tattle in here, isn't there?
Yes, it's really
Yeah,
nice. This is
yeah.
one of our pattern stores here, Fred.
Yeah.
As you can see, we can match up just about any head with any bar, and these days that's sort of big business for
Yeah,
us.
oh,
The
yeah,
restoration
yeah.
work in parks and what have you. I don't think we've ever counted them, but I think we've got over 100,000 patterns within the foundry, so it's a lot. It's a bloody lot, yeah.
Yeah.
But many of these patterns will date back to, you know, when the foundries first started.
Yeah.
And you'll still have them patterns somewhere.
Absolutely. We never ever throw any
Throw any
patterns
away.
that have. No, never do. Never do.
A lot of people don't realise that every one of these had to be made out of wood, didn't it, before
Yes.
it was made
Absolutely.
out of aluminium or cast iron.
Absolutely.
You know, there's some skill there, isn't there?
Yeah. In you go, boys. In you go.
Right, this is
Yeah.
the
Aye.
pattern shop, isn't
This
it?
is a pattern
Yeah,
shop,
yeah,
lads.
yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Life starts here.
Yeah.
We're one of the last general jobbing foundries that's left these
Yeah.
days, and but we're saying all sorts of things like postcards and drawings, and they go into they come into the pattern shop, and the lads like Alan here and
Yeah.
William and Brian and the boys,
They-
they sort of turn it into reality if you want,
Yeah.
you know. And then for here it sort of goes down to the shop to be cast.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the sort of cast iron coming back, sort of fighting
Oh,
back
yeah.
against all the plastics
Well, it's
and the
very
the potteries,
durable
that's
stuff,
nice.
isn't it?
Indeed,
They don't rot away
yeah.
like steel.
No, indeed, indeed. Right, I'll mind your feet as you come down here.
Yeah.
So this, Fred, this is the next stage from the pattern shop.
Yeah.
here. Once the pattern's made, they come down here into the moulding shop.
Yeah.
I'm sure you recognise this is a bollard,
Yeah.
a street bollard, street furniture. That's another
Yeah.
big thing that we do. And this is Ricky here
Yeah,
closing the
well,
box
the
up.
cores, aren't they? Them?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. And you can see the dark core there, so
Yeah.
the metal sort of goes round about it.
Yeah.
We can't stop production, Fred. We've got to let them go on.
No.
Just blowing all the extra dust out so there's no any residue there. But Aye, so we do the street furniture, we do big lamp posts here. When this is our heavy end, so-called, because the larger, heavier castings are made in here. And you can see the size of the boxes, they're big. But when we move on to the next stage, you'll see a lot of the smaller castings, smaller things, you know. That's okay, mate. Yeah. So when that's that, Fred, I think we should move on to the next mould shop. You okay with that? Yeah. You didn't want to fight with this boy, eh? I tell you.
No, you're bigger than me. Yeah.
So this is the main moulding shop we're going through to now. This is the main moulding shop.
His jacket seems to have been set on fire a few times.
There's 3 tonne of metal in the furnace. It all arrives at once, and each different shop gets a ton. And they sort of have different turns when the metal is, just to make sure, you know, they all get an equal chance of going home a wee bit early. That's about the size of it. Now that's it coming now. This will be ductile iron or spheroidal graphite, but I can't say that with my teeth. But you laughed at, what's wrong with my teeth? The metal goes into the ladle, and that's the magnesium that's making it as bright as you see it there, lads. And that'll bring all the impurities up to the top. You can't have that going into the casting, because the impurities would be in the casting. That's I'm just topping the ladle up there.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're getting the wheel on for pouring and tilting it until it comes into the shop there.
Yeah.
And he's got his wee stirrer there. He'll come forward. Getting that. So this is the molten metal coming through into the moulding shop now.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a pint of Guinness there, Fred, whereby all the impurities come up to the top. As you see, the furnaceman has a thing like Neptune's fork, and he takes all the slag off the top, so that we're left with the pure metal there. That's the green sand moulding plant there. It's still done in the traditional way with the hand ladles, as you see. You've got to be pretty strong to carry one of them about there. I think one of the lads was saying there's 56 pounds in it there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not as though you're just doing one, is it?
Yes,
You've got all them holes for fill up.
Yeah, you've got to be a real man to do that. You think you'd be up for it these days?
Well,
you think?
up until my present state of health, I'd have been alright with that.
You'd be fine. I tell you, you're more of a man than me, mate. I wouldn't be able for that. Oh, Brian, you getting older, or is that getting heavier? It's getting heavier. In the end, he's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's, he'll be a big, strong lad. You wouldn't let him give you a slap.
He's putting them on as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Aye. And see the height.
And then he has to take them
Can
off.
you see the height he's got to lift them?
Yeah.
It's a man's job. Yeah. The pattern will be in the box there. The box is in 2 parts. The pattern's placed in there, pulled out. You put the core in, close the box up, clamp it down, and then the metal is poured through the blowholes there. But it is really, it's just really to make sure you get a continuous flow of good quality metal.
It's the idea of like the 3 pouring holes.
Well, it's just to make sure that you get an equal flow through the moulding box, Fred. That's about the size of it. But it's certainly an age-old process, and we've been here for a long, long time.
Oh, this like area's very famous for foundries.
It really is. Central Scotland.
Yeah, way back to 1803, you know.
Yes,
Cannon
indeed.
Ironworks.
That's right. We've been here since about 1820. The company was started there. I think it was established in about 1856, and it has been in the Ballantyne family now. And and Mr. Ballantyne is still, the son and heir. And good news for us, he has a young son, so hopefully he'll come along and join us. He's at university at the minute, but the other good thing about Mr. Ballantyne and that is when he was coming into the shop at first, his father made him come here and do this. He made him do the moulding, and he worked in the pattern shop, and he worked in the fitting shop. So it's you know, so you'd have a real insight into the job itself. Sadly, there's, you know, we're getting less and less, and we're one of the last few standing now. Just recently, two of the largest foundries in Scotland just closed down there, and you've got to feel for the men and the skills that are sort of left on the street now, Fred. But we soldier on.
How long does it take one of your molders to learn that traditionally till he can be left on his own?
It's really a 5-year apprenticeship. You know, there are a lot of father and son combinations in here, so they'll you know, learn the skills from their dad. Every moulder's responsible for his own ladle. At the end of the day, he'll need to chop that out back to the metal and then reline it, get it dried off. We've got little individual dryers, and then, you know, it's ready for the next day again.
In 1950, there were more than 200 foundries like this in central Scotland. Now this is one of the only ones left. Back at the railway, it's time to get prepared for the next stage of the journey.
Come on then, it's time we were away.
Right, yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Wagons roll.
They're going to be heading back south to England, but before they leave this part of Scotland, Fred wants to have a look at the Forth bridges and see if they can drive the engine over the road bridge. They're not sure whether traction engines are allowed across the bridge.
Get off my wheel.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, there they are, eh? Two together.
At last.
One built this century and one last century.
Which is the rail bridge?
The red one. They never stopped
right.
painting.
Hey, there's a train going over. It looks like a blooming model. Look at that.
Yeah, they when they built that one, there were, I think 57 men were killed building it, the rail bridge.
The rail bridge.
And the other one, there were only a couple or two killed on the other one.
Yeah.
But two of Scotland's greatest landmarks.
Looks impressive.
Oh, yeah, it is when you're on top. I've been on the rail bridge, you know, on the ironwork like. Yeah.
Well, if you're going up to ironwork today, I'm not coming with you.
Hey, no.
No. When it was built, the railway, it was longest in Europe for a spell, weren't it?
I don't know that, but I know one thing, instead of it being built out of wrought iron, it was one of the earliest structures built out of steel.
On steel, yeah.
Yeah. I had a boot once with magnificent drawings and pictures in, and I lent it somebody and never come back. Of the whole construction of it all, you know, as it went on from day to day. It was a right good boot, that. But I ain't got it no more, you know.
How far across is it, do you know?
No idea. It's a long way.
It's set from here, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if they'll let us go over with this. There might be some sort of speed job, you know, you might not be able to do 20 mile an hour or something like that, which we can't do, can we?
There's one thing about it, we'll not have to pay a toll because these will not be on the notice board.
No, that's a fact, yeah. I didn't think about that, yeah.
But are they going to let them across?
we've just come over your bridge, Alistair, and it didn't collapse.
That's good to know. Did you have any problems getting up the slope?
Well, yeah, it's the engine isn't really running as good as it should be doing, but it made it all right, you know, that's the main thing. How old is it now, your bridge?
Well, the bridge opened in 1964, so we're just
it's getting
approaching
on a
our
bit, yeah,
40th anniversary.
Do you have much maintenance?
Well, we've got a big problem. Not only do we have to maintain the structure because it's 40 years old, but it was designed in the 50s when the heaviest commercial vehicle was only 24 tonne. And now the European standard is 44. Added to that, last year we carried 24 million vehicles.
That's a lot, isn't
when
it?
it opened in 64.
Well, can they not put stronger ropes on, you know?
It's not the ropes that are the problem. I mean, the towers are now reaching their limit. The main cable's reaching its limit.
In
fact, we recently put a new tower inside that tower. And the wall thickness of that new steel is about 1.5 inches. So you have a column taking an extra 6,000 tonne off the existing tower. In fact, we put so much load into the new tower that the existing bridge had been relieved of its weight and actually went up 1.5 inches. So it was a big operation.
No, it's one or two bits where it were a bit up and down here, the road surface, you know.
Well, what you've got to remember, Fred, is when it's blowing up quite a gale now, but if the wind got up to 100 mile an hour, the centre span would move out 23.5 feet in the direction of that wind. So every 60 feet across the deck, you've got a movement joint, and that's where you get the clatter as you go across the bridge.
But you wouldn't think that, would you? It's 23 foot.
23 foot in a 100 mile an hour wind. So it's
magic.
So it's left hand down a bit as you're heading to Fife.
What's the highest winds you've recorded over there?
We've put it off the scale about 102.
Oh, so you've had them kind of...
Oh yeah, I mean we're pretty far north.
Do you have to close?
We close at 85 to all vehicles, because after that point you're starting to get light heads coming off and blowing around. It's a bit dangerous. And standing where you are, you would actually see the bridge starting to oscillate.
Somebody's explained that.
That's amazing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, how high are they, them towers?
You're 508 feet above the river if you're standing on the top of these towers.
No, I've never been up a chimney that big.
And what's the highest chimney you've been up then?
300 foot.
300 feet? That was without a lift?
We attempted to knock a concrete one down that were 450 foot high, but the bloody thing fell down a day early, you know.
That's the first traction engine ever to have driven across the Forth Bridge under its own steam. And next week, there's another interesting bridge to cross. Fred and Alf will be taking the engine across the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge as they head south to visit a boilermaker in Bradford.